I'm going to talk to you about not what I'm doing, but maybe why I'm doing it. I'm starting a jeans company. It's not the first time I started a jeans company. It's actually the second time I've started a clothing company. I'm not that interested in clothing, really, to be honest. I love brands. I love the reason they do stuff. I'm kind of interested in why people do things. I started a company from my living room called Howies, and I sold it to Timberland. 15 months later, I was in a meeting, and I was told if I didn't move the warehouse to Holland and the design thing to Denver, then they'd spin me off. And I'm going, what does spin you off mean? And they go, sell you. Okay. Well, you do that, but you won't be selling me. I decided that I'd go and start another thing. But I wanted to understand why I wanted to start it. I knew I could make money from it. I knew I could do that. I'd learned how to do that. And I knew I could build a brand. And I knew I could go and build a nice global brand, albeit nice and small. And I was kind of interested in my dad's philosophy about stuff. And he told me in a conversation once in the pub, having a couple of beers with him, he said that he had to start signing everything he did. He was an electrician in the Merchant Navy. And the culture in the Merchant Navy was to not care, to not do a good job, because you could always blame the guy who did it before you, because that was the easiest thing in the world to do. And but what he did, he kind of finally snapped, because my dad was actually a perfectionist. He loved to do something well. That was his thing. So he started signing it every job he did. JBH, JBH. And when he told me that, I started to understand why I was a bit of a perfectionist too. And I thought that was really, really interesting, that when somebody cares so much about something that they want to put their name to it. And I thought that was always a good sign. If somebody really wants to put their name to something, they care about it. Not always, but mostly. And it kind of shaped a lot of my thinking. If I was going to do some jeans, then of course I'm going to make them well. I'm going to use the best mills in the world, and I'm going to use the best craftsmanship that I can find. Because I just want to do something well. I actually don't care about the size of it in the end. I just want to know that we could be brilliant. And I always liked that thing with Radiohead saying, do you know what? I don't care how big we're going to be, but I want to be the most influential band in the world. After the Howies thing, I thought, well, I can mope around about stuff and I can moan about the world and the bad decisions I made. But I decided I'd replace one pain with another, and I just went running. I wasn't particularly good at running. I mean, oddly, New Balance sent me shoes, but I don't know why they sent me shoes. But I've always wore New Balance. But I'd go up to the hills and I would just run. And me and my dog got really fit, and I was behind him. And I just did some thinking up there, going, actually, well, I know I can do another jeans company, but I still haven't worked out the why of it. And the luck is a really incredible thing. I spent an awful lot of time running, and while I was running, I was doing a plan. And I wrote the plan, and I sent it out to all my old shareholders, and I said, what do you think? And they all came back and said, we love it. And I went, oh. And I'm going, do you know what? I don't want to run around the track twice, because I haven't worked out the why of it. And they said, what do you mean? And they said, I haven't worked out why I want to do this, apart from I know I can. So I put the plan up on a shelf, and I left it there for a year, and I didn't look at it. And I do this other thing called the Do Lectures, and Richard mentioned TED. The Do Lectures is it's like where TED meets Burning Man, meets Where the Wild Things Are, and it's slightly nuts and it's slightly crazy. And that kind of kept me busy. And I had to like sort of, I decided that actually it was really important to me that the Do Lectures survived. So I made sure that I got it to a point that it was sustainable. And now, the tickets sell out before we announce the speakers. It's an incredible event. I mean, and millions of people watch the talks. And we do that from the bottom of our shed. So that kind of kept me busy. But one day, an old designer from the old company phoned me up and he said, "What are you doing? Why aren't you doing the plan?" He said, "It's a great plan." I said to him, I couldn't work it out why I wanted to do it. They said, "Well, I thought you were going to just make stuff in Cardigan." I mean, that was, we talked about it. And I said, "Yeah, well, we looked at the maths and the maths never stood up." He said, "Well, when have you ever let maths get in the way of what you wanted to do for a living? You've never done that. And every decision you seem to make was never about the maths, because the maths always work out if you're doing it for the right reasons." And I kind of thought, and suddenly it just went like a bolt of lightning through me, going, of course, it's about, the world doesn't need another jeans company. It has more jeans in warehouses in America than it can wear for the next 10 years, unsold. So it really doesn't need any more jeans. But the thought that I could go in, not change the world, but change the town, because the reason I'm telling you about luck was my town, of all the towns in Britain, knows more about making jeans than any other. And it just happened to be in the town that I lived. And that wasn't judgment, that was just luck. They made 35,000 pairs of jeans every week for 3 to 4 decades. And when that factory closed in 2001, all that skill, all that knowledge, all that know-how stayed in town. And they I just went, well, so my mission, my aim is to go and get my town making jeans again. That's it, I've cracked it. I know absolutely now what I want to do. We talk about mission statements or aims and whatever. Basically, I always kind of think of them like the sail. Think about a sail on a yacht. You need something to blow into your sail. And that's what your purpose is. It's just the wind for your sail. Because at the end of the day, yes, money is motivating, but money allied to purpose is much more motivating. When we're talking about luck, if I go running and the wind is in my face, it's tough. It's much harder to run. And when we talk about the zeitgeist, I kind of just think about it as the wind, where if it's in your face, it's against you. And if it's on your back, it's definitely for you. And I can tell you, it's much easier to run when it's on your back. Much, much easier. This is a picture of the factory, or the old factory. It made jeans for Marks and Spencer's mostly, but a little bit of Ted Baker and a little bit of Gap apparently. But the knowledge in our town, I mean, it's odd in a way, because I kind of call it a Hollywood town. I mean, it's a town of 4,000 people. But you go to Hollywood, and if you go to get a waiter, you're almost guaranteed that waiter will want to be a film director, or is writing a script, or is an editor, or doing some crazy stuff to do with the creative industries. I mean, but Cardigan is odd in another way, where if you go and get a coffee, they probably know how to make jeans. And if you have a driving lesson, they could also teach you how to cut some jeans. And if you go to a pub, the barman will probably know how to, the warp and the waft of jeans. It's incredible. I mean, there's 30 years of knowledge in the town. And I'm there going, wow, I just need to take advantage of luck. So I'm not going to hire machinists, I'm going to hire grandmasters. And Ellen, she's the first person we've hired. This is the factory. There's nothing in it, but it's changed since then. I mean, we're about 2 to 3 weeks away from making our first jean. And she is so excited about making jeans again. I mean, imagine if you were really, really, really great at something and you had to stop and you couldn't do it anymore. And you thought that dream would have just gone forever. Because manufacturing doesn't come back, does it? Mostly. I think that, you know, I went to San Francisco recently to do the Do Lectures out there. And I tell you what, it's definitely coming back in America. You see all the little boutiques there, all the stuff is made in San Francisco and they're super proud of it. And if those little, you know, green shoots are coming up in America, I think that's quite healthy actually. And I think that, you know, if I was trend spotting, I'm going, hey, do you know what? I think, you know, made here, made local, made good is probably a big trend. There are 41 processes for us to make our jean, and we only have to be really great at 41 of them. And, you know, so we have to make a great jean because we want to sell Rolls Royces. Tessa, my youngest daughter, these are her toys. And Stella, my eldest daughter, she gave them to Tessa. So they've had some love. And I'm kind of interested in love, really. I think a lot of businesses don't love either their product or their customer, and I think that's the ultimate problem. And I think you have to love what you do. And you know, I'm a big fan of Steve Jobs. I know he's flawed and all that stuff, but he always was interested in trying to change things. And he loved design, and he loved to change things through great ideas and great design. But there's also an emotional attachment to things, where I can go and replace these toys with new ones, much better ones, like they've got a body. But that's not the deal. You know, the deal is we get emotionally connected to things sometimes. We love jeans because actually there's very few things that get better with age. Unfortunately, we don't. And I love the fact that they record events. So if you cut yourself, they will record that event. And if you splash some paint on it, they'll record that event. And I'm interested, and I don't know the answer to this, but we have emotional connections. Jeans are odd because we all have our favorites. And we hate it when the pockets go and we have to throw them out. And you go, isn't that odd? Now, jeans are a little bit odder than most things. When you tell people the story and the fact that we want to make the town make jeans again, then they kind of they get smitten with it as much as I'm smitten with it. And then it becomes them. It's not just another job. It's like, how do we get more jeans? How do we sell more jeans to the town? My mission is to get 400 people making jeans again. But the good thing is, if that is to be achieved, the only thing we have to do is be brilliant. And we're not going to be able to just rely on sentiment. Nobody builds a great brand on sentiment alone, although that will help us in the beginning. And we're not going to just build this thing just by being better. In terms of, our grandmasters can make a great jean. They can make a jean as good as our competition, but not better. So we're going to need something else to bring to this party. And we need to bring ideas. And I want you to hold the thought about Bun Bun and Ted Ted, the toys, and the emotional attachment to a product. Is kind of, it's an odd thing, but it's kind of a thing that I'm really interested in. We do have favorite jeans, and we don't want to let them go. And actually, objects tell stories because they go with us. And I'm interested in that. And so each jean that we're going to sell is going to have a history tag. And on the history tag, you will be able to see who made the jeans. So you're going to have all the photographs of your jeans being made. And that's kind of interesting because nobody really does it, and it's good. But the history tag is interesting for me because it's going to mark the future. So wherever you go in your jeans, if you go to the Do Lectures one year, or TED, or wherever, you'll be able to upload that photograph to your historytag.com site. So you can have a unique number for your jean. And the essential idea is that in 5 or 10 years' time, if you make a jean well, it will last. And if you make it from salvage, it will last much better. But the history tag, the idea is memories go with products too. And if in 5 or 10 years' time these jeans end up in a second-hand shop, you'll be able to go, you can zap it with your phone and say, David Hieatt had those. He went to San Francisco, he did this, Radiohead wore them. You'll be able to see all the history of those jeans. Because my notion is there's 2 roads, and one is a Luddite and one is a geek. And when they come together, there's something really interesting in that. Because Luddite for me is about making something of sheer quality. And geek is the internet. But the internet has the ability to tell stories, and it hasn't really told as many stories as it can. So I'm interested in that, where can a product, can its memories of where it went to and what it did go with it? And the answer is yes. And my hope for the history tag is it becomes a badge of honor for people who want to make things well and to last. That's the last slide, but I just want to do one thing well, that's it. I want to make a great jean.